What is a bigger concern to you? You've been around, you've researched a lot, you've read a lot, and stuff that's pre my era and pre my former generation. You've been reading a lot of stuff on what's going on, done a lot of research with your 48 books. What do you see as the biggest threat today? Is it inflation? Is it taxes? Is it media? Is it politicians? Is it China? What is the biggest threat today that we're facing?
It's hard to pick a biggest. I would say the biggest threat, if it wasn't even on your list, it's the fact that the population of the world has been denied information so that they are incapable of making good decisions. They look at the world through their television screens or their computer screens. They think everything they see in front of that little screen or in that screen, that's reality. They can look out the window and see that it's raining, but if it says on the radio that the sun is shining, they'll say, oh, it's a sunny day today. And I think that's the scariest thing, because as long as the humans in this planet can be programmed and passively accept a condition where they accept authority without question, there is no hope for mankind, because authority sooner or later will figure out how to dominate their minds and control them in every way possible.
That's a pretty deep answer right there. And what's the price of that? What is the price of that long term?
Well, the price of that is that we cease being humans. We cease being, in the sense, humans of our full potential, having freedom, a freedom of will, freedom of choice, freedom of logic to reach a decision or to question, freedom to think even. We become like robots. And of course, that's what a lot of this transhumanism really is all about, is to convert the present state of affairs into two classes of humans. One are the ruling elite, who will remain pretty much as humans always have been, but maybe genetically selected to choose only the best and the highest intellects. But the rest of us to be gradually dumbed down chemically, electromagnetically, and through information starvation into robots. That's the penalty. That's, I think, and I shouldn't say I think, I know that's where we're headed, because the people that are doing it brag about it. They talk about it. They've written books on it. They think how wonderful it's going to be. And I first thought, well, that's really weird. This will never happen. But now I see AI developing and transhumanism and more artificial things happening where people can blend their bodies with mechanical things. And I project that into the future, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, maybe this is really going to be that way after all.
You'll see the opposition, those who oppose capitalism. They'll go and say, well, Karl Marx was a noble man because, he felt the capitalist is so competitive, he's so hardworking, he's so ambitious to seek more money and greed that he's eventually going to create so much wealth and not go out there fishing with his kids and spend that quality time with his family. And at the same time, if advancement goes at the level that it does, eventually it's going to destroy itself and implode. What do you say to that part of the argument? Because you're a capitalist yourself, you're pro-capitalism, you're pro-freedom, you're pro-choice, pro-freedom of thinking, you're, all of that. But at the same time, you're concerned about the advancement and the levels we're going with AI. Are we advancing and innovating a little too fast or a little too quickly?
Well, there's a couple of components to that question about, the general opinion of what Marx really taught. What you just said is got nothing to do with Marxism, but a lot of students think it does. They think, well, Marx taught, peace and cooperation and non-competitiveness and so forth. He did not. When somebody starts talking that way, I know that they have not read Marx. They have read books telling them what Marx means, but they have not read Marx. If you read Marx's books, you find out it's got nothing to do with that. It's all about crush your opposition, destroy your opposition, come to power, take away the family, take away money, make people obedient to their rulers and masters in the name of the greater good of society. He speaks nothing of the things that the students think it represents. And he'll say, kill them all. And they make no bones about it. Not only Marx, but Lenin and Stalin, all the good old boys, and Mao Zedong, all of those guys. Adolf Hitler, really, even though he's a Nazi, he believed the same thing. There was no difference between what he believed and what Marx and Engels and Lenin were teaching. So yeah, when people talk that way, I know that they haven't read the books and the manuals that have been generated by these totalitarians. So having gotten that out of the way, I'll move on to what was that? I thought
AI. What is your concern? Are we advancing and innovating too quickly?
Well, I think we are. My only challenge really is the word or the phrase "too quickly." I don't think we should move in that direction at all. I think it's whether it's fast or slow. Whether you jump off the cliff quickly or sort of slip off of it slowly, finally you're off the cliff and you're through. So I don't think it's a question of too quickly or not. I think it's a question of if we should be doing it or not. And I really, in my mind, I think it's contrary to what we are. I think if we were smart enough to understand who and what we are and where we fit in this universe, we'll be very destructive. First of all, I don't think it'll succeed. I really think that we can tinker with the laws of nature only so far till finally we'll blow it up and we'll cease to exist. We're not going to be these super creatures at all. We will just cease to be able to reproduce, or that we'll kill each other or something like that. That's what I'm afraid will happen. But maybe nature can be destroyed. Maybe nature can be converted into a death machine so that everything just stops. I don't know. Either way, it's a scenario I don't think is a good thing. I don't want to think about that for myself or my children or my great grandchildren or anybody in the future. So I think if humans really were as smart as they like to think of themselves, they would stand back and say, we don't tinker with the building blocks of life. We just don't tinker with them because they're perfect as they are. They've lasted for hundreds of thousands, if not millions or trillions of years. You can argue over the length of time, but they're pretty good, and they show a great deal of intelligence and design and functionality that's far beyond anything that Einstein or any human could come up with. Why are we tinkering with this thing when we think, well, I think all we can do is mess it up?